What is up, guys? JD here. Hope you're doing well today. Today I'm going to be bringing you my full review of the Tack Knives OTF. Let's get into it. So instead of doing a separate review for each of these, I thought it would just be a little bit more efficient to talk about these Tack knives. They are affordable OTFs, and they are very interesting knives. So let me put these in order of size. So I think what you have here is a sample of each. You have the mini, you have a medium size, and you have the large size. Having said that, let's go ahead. Actually, I'm going to reverse the order really quick first. And we're going to bring them in nice and tight. And being that they're OTFs, we're going to do our best to line these up from the back. And then we'll do some size comparisons, and then we'll jump into the knives. So I'm going to go ahead and start with some budget knives since these are budget oriented. Here is the Civivi Praxis. And here is the CJRB Echo, doing again my best to line them up from the back and give you an idea of the size. So the large not even being as large as a large Praxis, or it's a regular Praxis, but it is a large knife, especially for the budget realm. It's actually going to be more close in size for the large, for the Echo here. And I think that's probably a really good reference. Let me move these out of the way. We'll go ahead and bring in the Mordax from ProTech. This one here, again, being more of the fuller size knife, less of that medium size. And we'll go ahead and bring out the Bug Out, which is more medium size to me. I think the ProTech is like on the fence of being large, like right where large starts. But as you can see, their large is more, in my opinion, in line with like a Bug Out. And then the medium, probably closer in size to the Elementum. And then the mini, self-explanatory. I don't think I really need to explain that one. I think that's good enough for reference, for size reference. I don't think we need to go into any more. Let's go ahead and jump into the knives. So we'll start with the Tack TK Pro in D2. It has a 3.25 inch D2 steel blade, and there are multiple blade options. I was looking at the website trying to get familiar with the company since I am reviewing their product. This one is coated. They do have an uncoated D2. They also have drop point or Wharncliffe available. And I think they even had a couple Tontos, but it was really hard because they actually had a lot of options and it was really hard to sort through all of that. So it looks like you have a laminate carbon fiber inlay. As far as I can tell, it's laminate. I don't think it's actual carbon fiber just because of the look of it. But if anyone's more familiar with the company that knows, definitely let me know. You have a reversible pocket clip, not deep carry. Instead of a glass breaker, you have a lanyard option, which I really actually like better than the glass breaker. I'd rather see this option than the glass breaker. I think aesthetically, it's much more pleasing. You have a style slide that looks like the Microtech, but it's actually very solid in place, like an OTF that you would see from Hogue. And I'm going to bring my Counter-Strike out here in a little bit. And the real interesting thing about this is the company has indicated that they do want to bring full production of these knives into the US, but these are not US. They are all imported and assembled in the US. So there should be quality there as far as how the build goes if they're building them once they bring everything in-house. But they do want to eventually make everything in-house from what I read on the website. So I do want full disclosure there on that. Now this particular variant comes in at $174.95, so sub $200, and it has what I would call very solid action. Feels pretty good. There's minimal up and down and side to side. It's pretty daggone tight for a $200 OTF that has D2 steel. So this steel is going to hold an edge a really long time, but it's not going to be the toughest steel out here on the table today. I like the fact that it is, again, ambidextrous, so left-handed, right-handed operation is going to be the same. You're going to be able to move your pocket clip around. And again, it's about the size of a medium knife. Even though they're calling it their large variant, it's more medium sized to me. because again, it's coming in at the same size as the bug out roughly. And I think the medium is more of an elementum size. So to me, that would be the smaller knife, unless I've mixed it up, because again, these are coming through by pass around, so I'm not entirely sure. The other one that's on the table here is the TK Pro Hornet with the Wharncliffe blade on here. And the Hornet, instead of having a top button, it actually has a side button, which for right-handed use, I think it's a little bit nicer because you're already almost in that natural grip, so you can move it very easily. Same thing with this model here, minimal up and down and side to side play, very tight tolerances. You do have a little bit of a carbon fiber laminate on the button side, and then on the pocket clip side, you do have that laminate. Now this is being a right hand only variant because of how the button operates, which again is why I say, I think for use, this is not bad to have the button down here. It's a little bit better than I thought it would be. I thought I would prefer the top switch, but the top switch does kind of require me to reposition my hand more to get into the cutting position. Well, not too much more, but I do have to bring the thumb up out of the grip to operate the button here on the side versus the show side here on this one. I can actually be more in the grip, and it's I don't have to come back as far with the thumb, which I never really thought about when I looked at these. I just thought ambidextrous in case, you know, I'm holding whatever I need with my right hand, which would be true. It'd be easier to operate that ambidextrously, but you could easily pop it out and cut what you need if you were holding whatever it is that you needed to cut with the right hand. Some rope, maybe some straps, things like that. Could be very nice, but it's very well done. This one with 154 cm, also coming in at 3.25 inches, and the price is $169.95. So really well done. Again, not a USA made knife, just assembled in the US. And, well, let me put it to the back. It also has the lanyard hole instead of the glass breaker on there, which again, I really like that better. I just realized these are very high up and they're angled. Sorry guys. But sometimes you look down at the table when you're doing this so you can get a more accurate view with your bare eyes as opposed to a view trying to look down through the camera. So that's what's happening. And if I have the fan on in the background and that's coming through, apologies for that. It's a little bit warmer here today. About 76 in the garage. So have the fan on low just to help keep me cool. Now this one here, I'm gonna move these to the side for a second and then I'll bring them back for a view with the Counter-Strike so you can kind of see how that compares. But this one to me, I thought would be the least interesting, and it actually was the one that I enjoyed the most. As you can see, opened plenty of packages with it. It is very thin and slicey, which I do like. It is not ambidextrous, which I think is a little bit of a miss because it is a top switch. I call it top when it's like this, not like this. I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I think they could easily fit these in between those bolts. I'm not 100% sure, but it does look like that could fit in between based on where these mounting holes are. It may be that it was just too tight to get in there. So I don't know, maybe making it a top mounted pocket clip like what you see here on the Hogue. They could do that in the future so that you can just flip it to either side to use it. I think it would take full advantage of where the switch is located at. It does have the glass breaker. Again, I don't like the glass breaker, but I'm not worried about it in this instance because it's not going to get in the way. Again, the Wharncliffe blade shape on this with the swedge, really great for pulling out quickly, getting into packages, breaking down your tape. 154 cm again on this one, so it's going to hold an edge for a long time, and it's going to be a very tough knife, and I like that a lot about this one. The button on all of these, I don't think I talked about it. The switch works really well, and the firing sounds great. And this one here feels a little bit looser than the others, but it's no worse than what I have found on like a Microtech. It's still pretty tight tolerances for the size of this knife. The other thing that I really liked about this one here, and I'm gonna bring out my What a Slide from Data Crew. This is a very interesting option because it could be fifth pocket. You could put it in a slip, drop it in the pocket. If you like pouches and pocket organizers like I do, where you like to have multiple pieces of gear, and I apologize, my other What a Slide is already loaded out and I'm playing with loadouts with this one, but this is going to be a really good option because you could stick this in here and then you have room for something else. You could potentially put a skinnier pin in here. You could put potentially, let me see, will it come over anymore? I'm trying to think of something that wouldn't scratch it. A pin usually is okay. All I have out here today, unfortunately, is my full-size tactile knife, tactile knife, Lord have mercy. Tactile pin, which you can see it'll go in there, and because it's completely round, they should not scratch each other. There's no sharp edges on here, so the mini click would fit in there really good too. So that's something that I thought was a really great option for this. And also I think for the ladies out there, that would be a great option for something to, I wouldn't say drop in the purse, but throw in an organizer or a slip and then throw it down in the purse. That could work really, really well. So this one, funny enough, it interested me the most, and it's the most affordable, coming in at 89 bucks, which I think is phenomenal for the build quality on this. Again, not USA made. They are assembled here. They're bringing the parts in and assembling them here in the US, but wow, what a great knife. Just to give you some of the sounds here on all of them. Really, really nice. That way I don't have to turn it up and you're not hearing the fan in the background. Really, really, really nice. Now let's do a quick comparison. I have my Counter-Strike here from Hogue, which I love this one as well. We'll do a quick size comparison to these. This is their large, right? So you can see it is not truly a large knife, it's more medium. And then we'll bring out the Hornet, and you can see the Hornet much smaller, more of that, I would call that the Elementum size, even though it's 3.25 inch blade and the Elementum is 2.99. I'm just saying it's closer to that size. I know it's not the same, and I think the Mini's self-explanatory, but this is so cool, so cool. Now, as far as the button, I feel like the button here, we'll bring the medium back out here. This is the TK Pro in D2. You can see the button looks more like Microtech. It's not as ramped up as the Hogue, and it has more steps on it. Not nearly as aggressive as the Microtech. This is really comfortable. I actually like this switch a ton. Whereas on the Counter-Strike, it's a little taller. So after doing a few of these, I do feel a little fatigue here. That's probably my only complaint. I do go ahead and just reposition the thumb, and the spring on here is so much heavier. I would actually say, man, it's close. It may be just a little bit tighter, but I'm really having a hard, yeah, this definitely has just a little bit more slack in it. Probably about as much as that Mini does. But man, these are really solid values if you want an OTF that you can get that's really good build quality. They're advertising proper heat treats with intolerance on these. So 59 is about where they're starting, if I recall correctly. Really interesting for the money. I like these. I can definitely recommend them if you're not hung up on having a USA made OTF. If you are, I recommend the Hogue line over the Microtechs. I feel like the build quality is better, the action's better, the reliability is better. I oiled here. I probably need to redo it because I've done it. It's been a little while. I've oiled here on the corners. I don't oil on the direct top here where the switch is or where the connector is. I try to just hit the very corner of the knife for a little bit of input on that so that it has enough lube. And I just put just a touch, and then I kind of do it, every 3 months or so, just to keep, depending on how much I use them, just to keep them well lubed. These probably could stand to have a lube. And you know what? I have my knife roll out here, or my taco taco burrito roll out here. Let me grab the oil real quick. So I got my Hops gun oil in this pin that's linked down below. This is just a empty pin that comes in, and you can put your favorite lube in there. So when I'm lubing these, and it's going to be really hard to do, it's already starting to come out too fast. It's going to be a little hard to do on camera, but what I like to do, depending on where the switch is I just like to hit a little right there. I don't like to have too much, and unfortunately it's coming out a little fast. So let's just go ahead and line it, and then I'll go ahead and just kind of knock it in a little bit. And then what I'm going to do, so that it doesn't get too much on the internals, is just kind of rub a little off here and then just let it work in. And then it shouldn't have too much access on the blade, which is a good indicator that it's not going to be shooting all up around the mechanism that gets on the blade. And you may even just want to do that a couple times, and I'll do it again on the second one here. You might even be able to see it a little bit better on the black. So the black looks like it might have some on there already. Oops. A little hard to do through the camera. And that's why I like these pin applicators, and we may just go ahead and do one and then wipe it off, the excess off of the blade here. And do it again. So you just need a small coating on there. If you have it like shooting out all over the blade, just keep wiping it down until that doesn't happen. In my opinion, for these, you just need a little bit. It goes a long way, especially Hops. Hops is a lube meant for firearms. It is not going to dry up and crust as it sits with the knives stored. It's going to protect, and it's going to hold its lubricant phase for a long time. My hand is like that far back. I'm just doing that so it'll focus on here instead of the rag. So I'm not seeing too much excess on the blade. Let's go ahead and yeah, a little bit of excess now, so let's wipe it all off. Because it really doesn't need to stay on the blade. And what it's doing is it's getting on the parts that connect wherever it may be making contact. And once it's on there, you just need to wipe it off the blade, because it being on the blade isn't helping or hurting anything. And it's catching a lot here, or is it just shiny there? Yeah, that looks pretty good. There's a little bit going on at the top here, but I think that's better, being that it is D2 and it seems like the switch is really handling it. But really easy to recommend these. This video is already longer than what I wanted it to be. I am gonna go ahead and finish this up, but I just wanna shout out and thanks to everyone out there that is liking the videos, leaving comments, subscribed. I appreciate all the love and support. I hope all of you have a fantastic week, and until next time, peace.